Would you say that you've got to make sure everything's perfect before you start? It's sort of acting as a gatekeeping, or like as a
Yeah.
gatekeeper to, yeah. So I'm basically had to bootstrap and just cobble together this podcast with what I had and what I can get along the way. But that has definitely hinders my growth for this podcast because admittedly I'm just using a laptop camera for this because that's all I can get because I was using my other camera at one point, but to say the frame rate's awful is nice. But my point isn't the camera's bad. The point is because everyone, the audience, kind of expects this perfect marketing, this perfect looking footage, everything to be crisp and clean from the wire to go. Would you say the bar's too high?
No, I mean, if it's a passion project for you and you're happy with slow and steady growth, it's, I think, do it. I think everyone should, if they have a passion for something, they should absolutely do it. But when it comes to you being like, okay, I've got my podcast, I'll spend 10,000 of my savings on ads now, and just, you might end up wasting that. That's like where I have a problem. Like, it might not work. And ultimately, it might sound a bit harsh, but if you, like, I don't know your background, but if you don't have any business background, any marketing background, you don't have any sort of experience within this field, oftentimes those are the people who have this sense of optimism that how hard can it be, and then when you work in it a long time, it is really hard. Okay, it's very difficult. And like, it's the same for me. Like, when I started freelancing, I was like, how hard can it be? Like, I'll figure it out. And it's not until now, 5 years later, I'm like, if I knew how hard it was going to be, I probably wouldn't have done it. I would probably just gotten a normal job. And I think if you're setting out to start your own company, it's probably a good thing that you don't know how hard it's going to be.
I'm laughing because of how true that is.
Yeah,
Oh, that's my thought process of this podcast. Oh, it should be
yeah,
so easy.
yeah. But you have to have that. Be like a little bit naive. And I have a lot of my clients who, say the same thing. Like, oh my God, I was so naive. I can't believe I spent thousands on stock. I didn't know if it was ever going to work. You need that kind of like childlike wonder that I have this amazing brand, it's going to be fine. But the more you work in that field, you learn there's so much to know about it. To the point, like, if, like I said, if you knew that before, you probably wouldn't even have done it.
No, I mean, but then you know what they say, growth comes from discomfort or the
Mm,
unknown.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly that. And I think if you just do it, oftentimes these you know things like leads to the biggest rewards because you're going down an unknown route, and they like definitely could work. But I will say, like, the bottom line for the people um who does grow, if you are like a bootstrap doing things completely on your own, and I'm gonna quote James Clear on this, but like, you don't rise to your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And I think this is where a lot of solopreneurs and bootstrap businesses are struggling, because you're coming up with a brand new company, there is no system there, you're just waking up every day and seeing what can you do. But 100%, I'm such a believer in this, like, you need to have a system for everything. When are you recording content? How are you marketing yourself, and be consistent with it? Something that you can do every day for a year to make it work. Whereas a lot of small businesses, especially online businesses, tomorrow I'll wake up and I'll feel like filming for Instagram, and I'll start posting every day on LinkedIn. I'm going to do, if you don't have a system for that, of when you're going to do it, how you're going to do it, it will never work. And I think when you are your own boss, and if you didn't do it, it wouldn't matter. Like, no one's going to be mad at you if you forgot. That's where you need to be very disciplined with yourself and be your own boss. And I always try to think of myself, if I had hired myself for this role, would I have been happy with Julia's output today? And it's a great way to hold myself accountable and be like, don't give myself the easy way out just because I don't actually have to do my own marketing, or I don't actually have to show up online, or whatever it may be. And that's not how to run a business, essentially. And oftentimes that's where solopreneurs struggle, because I work with some brands who've got a marketing manager in house that's her job and her bonus depends on it. So she's going to be super on the ball to make shit happen. Whereas founders, oh yeah, I didn't get around to sending out my newsletter. I'll do it next week. If that was your job and you'd hire yourself for that, would you find it acceptable to say that, like, oh, I didn't have time, I'll do it next week? Like, it's not acceptable. This is your business and you're kind of slacking at it. So this is very harsh, but for me, I think you have to be like disciplined, have systems for it to work when you are the only one who's going to know if you didn't do what you told yourself you were going to do.